Yeah, if you'd like to check the volume, it's about a litre. It's about a litre.
You dag.
Yep, I can give you about a kilogram of voice, and that's it.
So are you saying that 1 cubic, hang on,
It's 1,000 cubic centimetres.
right, of voice
Yeah.
is the same mass as 1,000 cubic centimetres of water?
Yes,
Okay.
it's about equivalent.
Right. Would that not suggest that when you talk, you'd actually be going...
Yeah, you'd think that.
You
but,
would.
voice boxes, they're incredible. They can do such amazing things.
That being said, I suspect that some of our dear listeners already believe that when we do our podcast, all they hear is...
Well, if that was all they were hearing, I don't think they'd keep listening.
No,
would they?
well, that's true. That is true. Speaking of our dear listeners,
Cullen had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
hello dear listener and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin and with me as always is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What have you been up to?
I have reached the point in my project where I am stuck between two tasks that are both tedious and difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
But vitally important?
Yes, vitally important.
Right.
Yeah.
The project cannot go on without either of them?
Nope, it sure can't.
And is one necessary before the other, or are they
No,
both simultaneously required?
I could do either in either order.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't particularly bother me. And they're tedious and difficult for different reasons too.
I would
so-
reach into my pocket and hand you a coin to flip, but I cannot remember the last time I had any coins in any pockets or wallet.
Yeah, the last time I would have had a coin in my wallet was when I borrowed one off Mum to get a democracy sausage that did not exist.
No,
And so I returned the coin.
that was rude.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything that I can do other than flipping a metaphorical coin?
No.
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 So you're going to remain in this state of heads and tails flux.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. There was a Legislative Council election at the weekend,
That is the upper house in the Tasmanian government.
and when everything shook out, Labour was down a seat and the Greens were up a seat.
Indeed.
Which is incredible, because apparently the Greens have never had an upper house
They have
seat in
never had
Tasmania.
an upper house seat. No.
And now they have one.
Yep.
The way Legislative Council elections work is that there's 2 or 3 seats up for election every year on a rotation, and it takes 6 years to get through that rotation. We were due to have 2 seats, but
Somebody
one,
jumped ship and down to the lower house.
one person retired, and another 2 jumped ship for the lower house, and one of them wasn't due for an election.
No. It's
So all of them were vacant. Apparently the first time in over 100 years that there have been 3 vacant seats up for election
I'm
in the
vacant.
Legislative Council. Yeah. And really there's not all that much else going on with me. Everything's sort of kicking off in the next week or so.
Yeah.
So this last
Yeah.
week has been nothing.
You've got a lot of pots on the simmer at the
Oh, yeah.
moment.
Yeah. And all of them are going to be forcibly turned up to high.
To 11.
Yeah.
Good.
I choose this.
You do.
And I'm slowly, very, very slowly plugging away at my civics education inquiry submission. In short, the state of civics education in Australia is bad.
Bad. Very bad.
At least based on my experiences and the experiences I've heard of my siblings.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
The reality is that school does not teach a lot of basic things that are useful for being an adult.
No. No. You learn about far-off places and far-off times, but you're not taught how to open up a bank account.
There's a submission already to the inquiry that says that the curriculum contains requirements for information about the system of government and all of these things that didn't come up for me during high school. And in college, when it would be absolutely the most useful, you have to actively seek out information, and
they'll do driver's ed, though.
They will do a day of driver's ed.
And it's strange because I know that for many, many years, certainly on the federal level, there was a whole heap of material that covered all of that, and dummy exercises that you could do in the classroom. But certainly in my educational career, that just didn't happen, apart from one time in primary school when one of the rooms in our school was going to be used as a polling booth. And so they had the boxes set up and we were allowed to use it. So they took advantage of that. But it was at the time of a referendum concerning the national anthem. And so the discussion wasn't about politics in the class scenario. It was, what should we have as the Australian national anthem? Of course, kids being kids, it was "I Want a Jolly Swagman." It had to be that.
Yeah.
And everyone was disappointed when it wasn't that. I mean, who listens to the kids? Gee.
Yeah, no, the last meaningful formal election education I received was back in year 6, some 6 years before it would actually be useful.
Is that when you went to the nation's capital?
Yes.
Which, from what I read during the week, a good fair percentage of the world does not know what Australia's capital city is.
So yeah, I'll slowly plug away at that and
Good.
Ideally submit it before the deadline on the 27th. Would you believe that this inquiry submission and my project are actually linked?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
You have me even more intrigued.
But that's enough about me. What have you been up to this week?
Oh, it's been basically a triple whammy this week. I've gone and donated plasma, and I've gone to see my shrink, and I've gone to see my chiropractor.
Right.
Yeah. So I've been poked and prodded in all sorts of ways, some more beneficial than others. And 2 of those appointments were on the same day and in the city, but a number of hours apart. So I spent some time wandering around the waterfront taking photos. So that was therapeutic.
Yeah.
And it gave me an opportunity to have one of my favourite pizzas from a wonderful pizza place in town.
Great.
Good old chicken pesto. It was good. Very yummy. But other than that, nothing noteworthy, I don't think. Not that I can remember. So we shall watch a film instead of me wasting time pondering. What are we watching this week?
Well, neither of us seem to have the information in front of us, do we?
Let me bring up the film on the television.
We're watching Air Force One. I can tell you that much.
Good.
You can have that for free.
There it is. It's over there.
Next to Air Crash Investigation and Air Mater. A Cars tune.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that says it, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
That is a plot synopsis.
Yep.
Thomas, would you read the plot synopsis of Air Force One?
The President of the United States is skyjacked by terrorists.
Thank you, Disney.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's all you need to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what we're going to watch.
Yeah.
So we're going to watch it. We're going to hit the play button on a Disney Plus, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. So we shall catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B.
No, you do not invert a stonking great...
No, it's the safety instructions. On the back of the safety instructions.
I was inverted.
On the back of the safety instructions, you will find the transcript of the second half of this episode.
You mongrel.
It's in very fine print.
You're in very fine form. Where's the stop button? So, what did you think?
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. You know, it's... Well, what do you want me to say about a thriller?
Thomas has actually left the room, and I'm just using comments from past podcasts. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It had stakes. It had high stakes, and those stakes were maintained throughout, right up until basically the very end of it. So
I had forgotten, I confess, how occasionally very silly it is.
yes, it is.
And
That is thrillers.
yes, and it's Wolfgang Petersen as well. He has a habit of just raising the stakes to ridiculous levels. Yeah, fun movie.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten how fun it was. I'd also forgotten or not recognised that it was a Buena Vista film. So when that came up, I mean, it was on Disney Plus, but that could mean anything these days.
Yeah. Well, in the US, it was released by Sony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
Because it was a Columbia picture.
Okay.
Weirdly, I don't think we saw...
There was no Columbia logo. No, there was Beacon, I think, and...
Radiant.
Right.
But no, I didn't say Columbia.
No. I did see very, very plain opening credits.
Yep.
That threw me completely. I had forgotten how credits could be really, really plain.
It's just blue serif on a black background.
Plain. That explains it. It's snakes on a plane? No, it's plain text about a plane. Jerry Goldsmith.
Yes, in 12 days.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Randy Newman was originally pegged to do the score.
Right.
And then the director, Peterson, said, "This sounds like parody music. It sounds like you're doing parody music." And so he calls up Jerry Goldsmith and he writes and records in just 12 days.
Okay, well, that explains another thing. Because the other thing in my notes is, just a year before, he did the soundtrack to Star Trek First Contact.
Mm-hmm.
And this soundtrack to Air Force One just had so many riffs from Star Trek First Contact from a year before that it just wasn't funny. So that explains a lot of things.
Yeah.
I've got this tune stuck in my head. I've got 12 days, and we'll just use it. It seems vaguely familiar, but I'm Jerry Goldsmith, so...
Goldsmith said never again.
What, never again writing...
Last minute scores, no.
Yeah. Well, he must have just rifled through all of his chord progressions and note progressions and thought, yeah, I seem to recall liking that. Now, why did I like that? Yeah, we'll use it.
Not all of it is actually Goldsmith. You'll only find Goldsmith's work on the soundtrack release, but he did also have assistance from Joel McNeely, who did some of the other incidental music.
So, did a bit of a Hans Zimmer.
Mm.
Hans Zimmer? Is it Hans Zimmer that has a whole gang of people who he hums tunes to and then they go off and expand on it?
Yeah, maybe.
Who is it that did Dune?
Which Dune?
Well, both of them. So, sorry, my mind is still in denial that the 1984 movie happened.
Yeah.
So, I remember walking out of that, and admittedly, I had no background of the books. You know, I'd seen the books on the shelves of my sister, and saw how thick they were, and saw the lists of names in it, and said, no, my brain's not going to cope with that. So...
Yeah, it's Zimmer.
Yeah, he's quite famous for having a production line, basically, where he will be credited for the soundtrack to a film, but he's well and truly assisted.
His Wikipedia page says, his studio in Santa Monica, California, has an extensive range of computer equipment and keyboards, allowing demo versions of film scores to be created quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like...
It's a big industry, and that's fine.
If you're making demos, that's writing music. I don't think it is unfair to call him a very good composer.
Oh, no, I'm not suggesting that.
No.
But on the flip side, I would feel a little miffed if I had put a whole heap of work into a little ditty that somebody had come up with and expanded on it, only to have not my name written in big bright lights.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so that explains the whole Jerry Goldsmith. And he also, and James Horner and Barry, what's his first name?
John Barry?
John.
Yeah.
I knew it had an X in it somewhere. All of them are well, actually, why not start at the very top? John Williams.
Yeah. Well,
riffs on himself and riffs on a whole heap of... So
I have heard the comparisons between John Williams' work and various classical pieces.
Yeah.
It is sometimes quite striking that the similarities.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I do suggest, certainly on YouTube, the opening music to Star Trek First Contact is on there, and I'm sure that the opening theme to Air Force One is on there as well. Certainly Air Force One is a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
It is very much pre-CGI.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of model work that varies from really, really impressive to doesn't quite hold up these days. The hedge trimming, whilst the plane was briefly touching down and then taking off again, was a little bit of a laugh. And actually, I think that apart from the major demise of Air Force One, I think it was spectacular in its day, but it doesn't hold up. But I think that the one that jarred with me the most was the model of the helicopter landing in front of the prison was quite obviously a model. Okay, I'm nitpicking.
The Air Force One breaking up might have been a bit more impressive if there was, an earth-shattering kaboomy. But there couldn't be an earth-shattering kaboomy because they'd established that it was out of fuel.
Yeah, and it couldn't be an earth-shattering kaboomy either because it's a water-shattering kaboomy.
Well, yeah.
Non-kaboomy. A water-shattering non-kaboomy. Yeah. Okay. What I do not understand is, with Harrison Ford's vast experience of exiting planes in unorthodox manners, such as Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where he throws a life raft out the back of the plane and jumps in it, why couldn't they have done that? He knew how to do that. But...
Well, I suspect the problem there is that Air Force One is crashing all around him, like, imminently.
Yeah, there was a time, like, where the big bad guy gets off his plane. See, they could have grabbed a life raft then and gone off. Anyway, throw me a bone. It very much had riffs of numerous films around the same time, where a fish out of water, in some ways, has to save the day, but also has a particular skill set sufficient to pull it off.
What if we just made the president a Vietnam vet?
Yeah.
With some flight experience.
Trying to remember what year Under Siege with Steven Seagal came out, but that basically had a ex-Special Forces chef on a...
5 years prior.
Right, okay. So
in
this
92.
was on a big naval vessel, and he did a Die Hard.
Well, it's Seagal.
Yeah.
What else is he going to do? I don't think I've actually watched a Steven Seagal film, but I'm led to believe they are all fairly similar.
I think that is pretty much the only one that I saw.
Right.
I got roped into watching it, and I do remember at the time enjoying it too much, if that makes sense. Once you throw any form of logic out the window and
Yeah.
leave it outside. Yeah, I cannot imagine what it would be like if I watched it again. Lucky it's your turn to choose next time, isn't it?
William H. Macy just can't catch a break, can he?
It's a bit like, what's his name in Lord of the Rings? Sean Bean, yeah. He's forever dying in films. As soon as his face pops up, you place your bets as to how far into the movie it will be before he dies. So.
Got most of the way.
Oh, you mean Macy?
Yeah, Macy.
Yes. Oh, Macy, yes. You got most of the way, 95% of the way, but when we're talking life and death...
Xander Berkeley as Special Agent Gibbs. Perhaps not quite as strong a role as Sheriff McAllister.
It was funny watching the younger audience members going, "Oh, hey, that's Red John."
I didn't quite recognise him with less grey hair.
Yeah, yeah. Strangely, he was a lot younger then.
Yeah.
Fun movie.
Yeah.
Also in the category of leave your brain outside. It doesn't entirely make sense all the way through. All right. Do you have anything else in that huge long list of notes that you have to...
No, I didn't make any specific notes.
No.
No.
I've got nothing else.
No.
So we shall move on.
The following segment has no title. Thank you.
As he panics about whether he did actually start recording. Yes, he did.
The light is red, and the other light is flashing.
Blink, blink, blink.
It's really going at it, isn't it?
It is. It is. I could turn up the tempo. Will that make us talk quickly?
I wouldn't.
Okay, I won't.
Yeah.
All right.
Changing tempo can do weird things.
What have we got?
We have an comment.
An comment from an dear listener. Helen, over on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I did check everywhere else, earlier, just to be sure. But
We've scared everyone off.
Yeah.
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 Sorry.
Oh, people are probably just busy.
People are busy. There are parts of the world that are now entering into weather that one can go out into, rather than staying locked in a warm room listening to our dulcet tones. What does dear listener Helen have to say?
And they didn't mince words. It was lucky that I checked the episode length before I went on my walk.
It was a short one last week. And we did have sort of a time crunch that we were mentally conscious of, but I don't think that really had much impact on the length of the podcast.
It did still come close.
Close to what?
The point at which we needed to be able to have stopped.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Yeah, but no, the episode was as long as it was.
It was, and no longer. I mean, the other option was that I could have had the after credits bloopers after a very, very long pause of silence. Seen that done before. Wouldn't do that.
Well, Her Majesty is a pretty nice girl.
Sorry?
Okay, so the Beatles, Abbey Road.
Ah, right.
It was a double album, I think? Or it had two sides. Most albums had two sides back then.
Yeah, considering your constant turn to side B.
Hold on.
He's making it up. He's actually stalling. He doesn't want to read dear listener Helen's comment.
Side one. No, okay, so it was the double-sided album. There was a medley.
It could have been a three-sided album.
There was a medley. They're not Monty Python. Monty Python did that once.
Yes.
They put the third side in between one of the other sides. So you wouldn't know exactly which one you were getting unless you were paying attention. Anyway, The Beatles, they put out Abbey Road, a double-sided album, and the second side ended with a fairly long medley of songs, which was slated to include a fairly short piece by Paul McCartney. Well, McCartney-Lennon, but it was McCartney's piece, called Her Majesty. It was sort of joking about how the monarch doesn't really have much time for anyone else, really. And then Chumbawamba went and extended it into a 4 or 5. This doesn't matter.
Hang on, are you saying that Chumbawamba did something other than their one-hit wonder?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, there we go.
Anyway, Paul McCartney wasn't really happy with the song in the end, and he wanted to cut it from the album. But of course, the audio engineers are told never to dispose of any Beatles material. And so the tape for Her Majesty ends up at the end of the album after a short break, complete with crashing chord that was supposed to be from the previous song in the medley, and no resolution.
Oh.
It doesn't have a final note.
Right.
Because that was supposed to be in the next song in the medley.
Right.
And it was.
How bizarre.
And so it was an accidental hidden track, and eventually they listened back to it and it was like, yeah, alright.
Yeah, we'll leave it.
And so they went and pressed the records with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I do have a CD somewhere that has a track that's before track 1.
Mm-hmm.
It was an X-Files.
That takes some doing, but yeah, you can do it. It just sort of futs with the time the file is supposed to start.
Yeah. The only way that you can get to it is to hit back a track. So it'll start on track 1, but if you tap the back a track button, it'll skip back to the unknown track.
Helen,
nah.
Helen
no, the moment's gone.
Helen continues. I usually choose my route based on episode length, and as it happens, a short walk was actually a desirable option tonight.
Probably rained.
And phew. Glad you liked it, and that even Thomas thought it was more than passing fair. I may have to borrow the DVD from you at some stage, since it must be close to 20 years since I saw it.
Nah.
Which is scary.
Nah. It's mine. You can't have it.
I'm going to read her guess now and then leave her in suspense while I read the rest of the comment.
Okay.
My guess is Stutton Agent. STN Agent. Spoiler alert, my recollection of Air Force One is that it was Die Hard on a plane. Or Starship Mine, Picard on the Enterprise, on a plane. But I wouldn't call it Harrison Ford's finest film.
No.
Come to think of it, though, what is Harrison Ford's finest film?
Now, I was thinking about that.
Uh-huh.
And for me, it would have to be Raiders of the Lost Ark. He is Indiana Jones. No ifs, buts, or maybe. And just solid in that. I did have a bit of a glance around at, it's certainly a topic that has come up on the internet numerous times as to what his best movie, and the one that keeps coming up I haven't actually seen, so
right.
I can't speak for it, and it's not on any of our streaming services. I think it was a Guardian article.
Right.
So just this random article claims that What Lies Beneath, which came out in the year 2000, is his best film.
No, I've not seen it.
No, I haven't either.
No.
But he apparently delivers a gnawing, as in gnawing, corrosive portrait of a man who has gone to seed and is going to hell. There we go. But no, Raiders of the Lost Ark for me.
Anyway, your guess was wrong.
Yeah, guess was completely, well, when I say completely wrong, it was close.
Yeah, I should have dropped the E, added another T with station.
Yeah. I went
so no arbitrary points to be given out this week. Reminder, as always, that anyone is welcome to comment on our podcast by any of the methods that you can find to do so. You can send in film suggestions or try to guess what 8 or fewer character file name has been used to name the project.
Especially you over there, who has been listening for years, silently in the background, not making any comments. It's you. Come on.
Mild programming note that if you do want to get a comment in, you may want to do so early, because we may be recording a little earlier than usual.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go to it. Or don't.
Yeah. We'll still be here.
Yeah.
I'll write some comments. Donald Duck says...
It'll just be a very short, untitled segment otherwise.
It will. So we'll move on then.
Yeah.
Speaking of moving on, let's move on.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
And it's your turn.
Yes, it is. And I don't think I have any particular ideas. And so I will be going back to the Well of Forgotten Dreams.
The Well of Forgotten Dreams.
And let's give it a little crank. And up in the bucket, soaking wet, we have found a film.
Right. Good. Up in the bucket.
Yeah. Well, it's a well.
It is. I'm impressed that you managed to wind it up. Actually.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
All right.
Very, very quick. This film is from the year of my birth, 1999.
And then it would be... No.
And it stars the late, great Robin Williams.
Okay. Is it on the shelf?
Well, it's in the Well of Forgotten Dreams, so yes. Yes, it is on the shelf.
Okay.
And he's looking very shiny. Like...
Oh my goodness. We're going to have to start very early then.
Well, only about as... yes. Only about as early as this.
Yes. It's a long film, if it's what I think it is.
Well, what do you think it is?
Is it... Oh, good grief. He plays an android.
He does.
Bicentennial Man.
It is the Bicentennial Man. And it's only 2 hours and 6 minutes, which actually makes it shorter.
Okay, it's actually shorter
than the film we've just watched.
Okay. I just recall it being longer than that.
Well, that might not be a good omen then.
Maybe not. Please tell our dear listener about Bicentennial Man.
Bicentennial Man is the hilarious and heartwarming story of one robot's extraordinary 200-year journey to become an ordinary man.
Hilarious. Right, okay.
And I would go on, but, you know, that was already pretty self-congratulatory, but it gets more so as we go on down the back of the case.
All right, next week, Bicentennial Man. We hope that you can join us, but until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
How does this work? Oh, I need to have it on.
Just hand me the remotes.
No, I know what I'm doing.
Do you?
I'm the one who set it all up, so yes, I should have some idea.
And yet...
Oh, mock me not. Oh, it is
no, we're on the right source. You just haven't turned the
set-top box on. All right. Let me see if I can do something about that. There we go. And of course, everything's changed on this as well. I said apps.
streaming.
That's not apps. Oh, good grief.
This will make for incredible post-episode content.
No, look, I don't think even this will make it to that. Well, it depends. For the last couple of episodes, they've been somewhat short and getting shorter, so let's see if I can... I think I'll trim every second word that we say.
Right.
Yeah, and get it down to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah. No, see, the thing is, we had an awkward tangent this time, so...
Did you just went off on a rant?
Well, you contributed.
Only somewhat.
I was more going for Peanuts adult voice, but...
Peanuts adult voice. Which one's Peanuts adult?
At the...
Oh,
the
right.
adults in Peanuts. Speaking trombone speak.
Now, apparently there is one Peanuts movie where the adults do talk
Right.
English. Apparently. I only read that this week in the midst of a whole bunch of other trivia. And it's weird that it comes up now. Anyway.
Our dear listener has gotten half of that conversation.